in Denver is a very popular thing to be doing right now. I mean, I get a lot of people reaching out because they want to move here. However, there's plenty of reasons why I think maybe you shouldn't move here. Maybe it's not a good fit to move here. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the top 13 reasons why Denver just might not be a good fit for you. Let's get started. Hi there, Christy Lee here, and in this video, again, I'm going to be talking about the reasons why maybe you should be moving here. Make sure you stay to the very end so you know that very last reason, because it is actually quite shocking on why it's not a good place. I mean, come on, it can't all be good, right? All right, so let's just jump right in. The very first reason why maybe Denver's not a good fit for you is that it's expensive. It's really expensive, and it's getting more and more expensive. In fact, the average house price right now in the Denver metro area is about $650,000. And that's just in Denver. I mean, granted, you can get something a little bit more affordable for sure, but you're gonna have to leave the Denver area, the Denver metro area. I mean, up north, you're about, 45 minutes or so north of Denver, you could get something quite a bit less expensive. Let's just say $450,000. Down south in the Colorado Springs area, you're pushing right around the $550 area. So, I mean, overall, Denver is just continually going up, and rent is no different. In fact, rent right now in the Denver metro area for a one-bedroom apartment, roughly about $1,700 a month. Two-bedroom is about $2,300 a month, if not more. So you do need to be prepared for that. While cost of living is going to be a little bit more here, I mean, we do get paid a little bit more as well. So sometimes it might even out for you. Sometimes it's not. I know for a fact, a lot of people who do consider moving out to this area are drastically sticker shocked when they see the prices of homes. I actually work with a lot of people who are like, they have a set budget of, let's just say $550. And when they figure out what $550 is going to get them in this area, they quickly either realize they need to be moving outside of the specific area that they were originally wanting to be, or they need to up their budget to get exactly the type of house they want. So kind of, note that before moving here, do your research and figure out, if you can afford it. Second reason why Denver might not be a great area for you is transportation, or lack thereof. We've been growing like crazy. Like I've already mentioned, everybody kind of has figured out that Colorado is awesome over the last 20 years or so, which just means more people are moving here, which means more cars on the road. Now, that totally sucks for a lot of reasons. One, Colorado is not built, the infrastructure is not built to have this many cars on the road. So our highways are now jam-packed. We do have, sitting still cars during rush hour. However, if you're coming from, I would say, maybe LA or even New York, a lot of you guys think that our rush hour is meh because you're super used to it, and we're not. Another reason why transportation honestly does suck, while it is getting better in the Denver area, is that we don't have a whole lot of options. We're not like New York, Chicago, some of those areas that actually have the subway system. Now we do have the light rail, which is great. It goes from Denver and it kind of goes, all directions outside of Denver, but it only goes a certain amount of distance. So it goes all the way down to Lone Tree or so. It'll go out to like Golden out west. It'll take you all the way to the airport out east, which is awesome. But as far as north is concerned, we're only getting to about Thornton. And because Colorado is growing so much going north, I feel like that's lacking. It's also not getting out to Boulder too. And that's where a lot of people are living, is Boulder. So to utilize the RTD and the light rail system, I mean, yeah, you totally can, but I feel like it's a lot more limited than some of those other areas. So again, if you need a lot of walkability, or you don't have a car, or you're relying on public transportation, I feel like Denver kind of sucks on that. It's getting better. It's definitely getting better as we get bigger and more people living here. I mean, our transportation will eventually, jump on board, and they are trying. It's just not going at the pace that I feel like the population is growing. So there is a lack in that. Okay, so number 3, and kind of piggybacking on the lack of public transportation, is the traffic congestion, kind of going on with that. Because our highways are so packed, but everywhere else. So like if you want to go to the mountains, if you're a campus skier, if you just go to the mountains quite a bit, it doesn't matter. all of that is super, super congested too. So that is another reason I feel like is people move out here mainly to get to all these amazing outdoor activities we have. But now what totally sucks is that now you're just sitting in traffic all the time to get there. Or even when you are there, there's so many people, at the ski resorts, at the camping places. You have to book your camping trips far in advance just because so many people are using these things, especially since COVID. Now all of a sudden, like, camping is like a huge deal, including for myself. Like, we started doing this in COVID too. So now you have to legit book your spots 5-6 months in advance just to ensure that you have one. And then when you go, you're going to be sitting in traffic, depending on which area you're going to, sitting in traffic quite a bit. So yeah, I mean, that totally sucks too. And that just kind of adds on to the population growth coming here, the lack of transportation, the lack of public transportation, and then just so many people just bombarding our roads, trying to get anywhere is just sometimes honestly a nightmare. Okay, so this is kind of a weird one. This is number 4, but Colorado is so dry, right? We're a very, very dry climate. And so we have a lot of water scarcity, which is, I don't know if it's not necessarily a reason not to move here, but a lot of people find when they move out here, one, the water, we're not green. I mean, as much as we think that we are, we're definitely not green compared to other places. And the water restrictions are very real. We're a lot of times, especially during the summer, because maybe we didn't have a whole lot of snow the season prior, so we don't have a whole lot of runoff for our water. We actually have water restrictions. We can only water our grass a certain time of the day or the week, and things like that. And with more people moving in, the more people who are trying to use our water, it's actually a real thing. So do I think that's a reason not to move here? No, but it's definitely something I feel like you need to be used to or get more information about if you want. Also, when you are using the water, when you're watering your landscaping and all that stuff, the water out here is very expensive. And it's honestly probably because we don't have a whole lot of it. So it is very expensive. Those water bills are very, very high. People are usually shocked on these water bills. I mean, they could be in the upwards of a couple $100s. So do be prepared for that. If it's not included in your HOA, if you're like not, in a townhome or something, do prepare for that. That is also another reason why probably you should hold off on the water as far as watering your grass, just because it is cost a lot of money. Also, when you're purchasing a house, a lot of people want all, this big backyard and all of this stuff, which is fantastic. But I always advise them, especially if they're in certain areas, certain counties where I know that the water is going to be a little bit more, like Boulder County. Maybe you don't need that big of a backyard. Or you could xeriscape it to alleviate some of that water bill, just because it is a lot higher. We don't have a whole lot of it. We're not as green. So if you're coming from, say, Florida or somewhere out in the south or east where you're used to all these green trees and all of this stuff, no, we don't have it. And we're trying to save as much as we can of it. So it is something to get used to. All right, if you're enjoying my content, please remember to click that subscribe button right there. Remember to click the thumbs up. That way you are notified every time I have a new video. If you need any more additional information, my contact information is right there. So please reach out to me anytime. I'm always happy to help. Now let's jump back in. So one thing I found that you either can handle it or you can't handle it when moving to Colorado is our seasons or our weather. Sometimes it can be extremely drastic. Sometimes it's just kind of like San Diego. I mean, so you do need to be prepared. We legit have all 4 seasons, which is amazing. And that's something that I truly love about Colorado. Our fall is my all-time favorite, but we do have very drastic swings. In fact, last week we had snow and then like 50 degrees all in one day. So you legit didn't know what was happening. And also another thing is that the mountain weather compared to, say, the Denver metro area usually is a far swing as well. So if you're planning on going up to the mountains, or even if you're somebody who goes hiking or whatever, you're starting in Denver and let's just say it's 65, 70 degrees out when you start. But by the time you hit that top of, say, a 14er, it might be snowing. So there's a huge swing and a lot of people just can't hang with that. Another thing is that we are very high in altitude and we're very, very dry. So a lot of people get sick for that reason. They can't handle the altitude. It's altitude sickness, legit. And so, I mean, is it overwhelming? No, but to some people can. And also that, a lot of elderly who already might have a harder time breathing. It can be very difficult to live here, especially for that reason. The dryness gets to a lot of people. So do be aware, especially if you're coming from somewhere that's maybe a lot more humid. We legit like have no humidity out here. So you're going to be putting on lotion, chapstick, all of that stuff like all the time. And that's just something I'm truly used to. I've been here my whole life. And so humidity actually bothers me. But a lot of people just, they can't hang it. Just like they itch and they just don't like it. And a lot of people will actually move away from here because actually, as much as I love our weather, a lot of people just don't. And I get it. And that's totally fine. And that's something I do want you to be aware of prior to moving here. Number 6 is gentrification. And we actually have quite a bit of that going on in the Denver metro area. And I kind of have mixed feelings about it, obviously, because you don't want anybody to be either losing their homes or their culture or anything like that. The people who've been here for a very long time, you don't want them to be forced out of their homes or anything like that. However, there has been a lot of areas that used to be really run down, really not honestly great areas that actually have re-spruced itself up and really gotten to be a really great area to be in. So some of those areas would be like 5 Points, Rhino District, all of that kind of area in that. And while, yeah, there was and probably still is gentrification going on in there, I feel like it still might be a good thing overall. There are things, obviously it's unfortunate because, people might be losing their homes, but there are affordable housing. They're trying to put more affordable housing into these areas, trying to still keep the small businesses in those areas that have been there for a really long time. In fact, Rhino District had actually taken its place and it's like captured the residents, the artists in those residents and like made murals all over and really just taken the area of the people who live there and really just captured their culture, which I think is really great. So, I mean, is that a reason not to move there? No, I don't think so. But on the flip side, I just want you to be aware of it. Just like any city, this is going on, good and bad, depending on how you look at it. I just really hope that they still are able to, the people who still live there are still able to, keep their housing or at least get more affordable housing to still stay in those areas that maybe they grew up in. But for people moving in, there's really some cool areas to be moving into. I mean, some of these areas that used to be like, I'm not going there, now are actually super cool. So I will say, check it out. Check out a lot of areas in Denver. These things are happening, but some of it might be good. Okay, so number 7 is air quality. And while I'm not saying this is all the time, like year round, I will say there are times of year that maybe the air quality in Colorado or in Denver specifically isn't all that great. And I feel like some of the main reasons, it's usually the summertime. Some of the main reasons are the fires that we have or in surrounding areas, other states coming in. So because we are so dry and some of the other areas around Colorado are also dry, unfortunately, there's fires and there's a lot of wildfires in Colorado and it's very unfortunate. It's horrible. But what happens is because we are so dry, some of these places catch fire and that smoke is usually drifted onto our area and it's very, very hard to breathe at times. Typically, again, it's in the summertime. Not every summer, but you will notice it. There's times where, you legit shouldn't even go outside. There's been a couple days that are just like, while you're outside, maybe you shouldn't be out riding your bike or running just because it's a little bit harder on your lungs. Again, is this all the time? No, but Colorado is prone to fires. That's another thing you should be aware of is they are prone to fires. The smoke does affect your breathing quality. So again, if you're somebody who has, issues with breathing issues or lack of oxygen, this and that, we're already high altitude. Sometimes we have fire issues. And so maybe that is a reason that maybe you should reconsider or at least do your research on where to move within Colorado if it's still an option. All right, now speaking of being outside, and while that's why a lot of people do move out here is because they want to enjoy our outdoor activities, some people struggle with allergies. So we are very prone to allergies and pollens and just grass and just cotton and just things going on in the air. So if you are somebody who struggles with allergies, note that when you come out here, you might struggle being outside. So obviously, do your thing, take your precautions, your medicine, your Benadryl, whatever, wear a mask, I don't know. But just know that, I mean, yeah, we do have allergy season for sure. I mean, it's going to be spring for sure, and then definitely in the fall as well. So it's just because we have just so much going on. I mean, we love it outside. We all want to be outside. And unfortunately, being outside means we're around grass and trees and pollen and crap outside that's getting into our head and making us all itchy. So just note that before you come out here. All right, so I do find that a lot of people actually do move out here for our job market. I mean, I truly believe that we actually do have a great job market. Denver is huge into IT, huge into health, aerospace. What else? We got energy, tourism is huge out here, finance, all of that good stuff. However, it's ever changing as well. And so, maybe your industry isn't out here. I mean, we don't have any water for the most part. I mean, so if you're somebody who wants to work on the ocean, that's not going to work. So just kind of do your research. If you want to be a marine biologist, you probably don't come to Denver, right? So I feel like overall, we have great job security, in my opinion. We do have great job security and good paying jobs. I mean, you have to keep up with the cost of living as well out here too, but it may not be the job industry that you're looking for. So if you're somebody who needs something completely different, look wherever, I don't know, but I will say for the most part, we do have some good opportunities when you're moving out here. All right, so number 9, and I briefly mentioned it earlier, but number 9 would be the outdoor activity, the crowds. It is pretty insane, honestly. Like, it's really hard to get into any place unless you book in advance. And not only that, it's expensive. So, I mean, if you want to ski or snowboard or whatever, it's no longer like you just take your family up for the day. You have to pretty much do it for the weekend to avoid to avoid the I-70, traffic. So you have to pretty much do an entire weekend. Plus, you're paying for your kids and your family to ski for the whole weekend. Then you have to pay for the hotel. So it is a thing. It's an ordeal, as well as camping. Like I mentioned before, you do have to book those spots months in advance. Like, we have it in our calendar on January 1st to book for June 1st, kind of thing. So you do have to kind of keep that in mind if you're planning coming here. A lot of people still wing it, or you could go up on a Wednesday to go skiing, because the crowds are definitely going to be less than on a Saturday or Sunday. And you definitely could find camping spots that you don't have to reserve for sure. I mean, there's plenty of those too, but they're a little bit harder, and you definitely have to go find them. So yeah, I mean, that kind of sucks. Is that a reason not to move here? No, but that is something that you need to be aware of, that is not as readily as available or easily to get or get to as it used to be. Okay, so number 10 is, I feel like Denver it's getting better, but its cultural offerings, I should say, it's not as great as some of the other cities. So if you want to be in a place like maybe Chicago, New York, maybe San Francisco, places like that offer a lot of cultural stuff, we don't really have it. I mean, we do, don't get me wrong. We have our museums, we have our zoo, we have the botanic gardens, things like that, but we don't have like as much. And our food selection, I feel like, is very lacking too. So if you're a foodie, we're getting better, but we're nowhere close to some of those other bigger cities. So, and then we're not known for any food either, than maybe Rocky Mountain oysters. So look that up if you don't know what those are. But I don't know. Like, I feel like it could get better, and I think over time it will. Especially when more and more people are moving here, they're going to bring their jam with them. But we have a great concert scene. We have Red Rocks Amphitheater, which is awesome. So that's a place. But overall, like, do I think that it's like amazing culturally? No, I really don't. So yeah, I mean, kind of just know that going into it. Okay, so the last thing that I think you should know if you're planning on or looking into moving into Colorado or Denver specifically is its lack of diversity. Historically, it's always been predominantly white population. Obviously, that is changing rapidly, actually, because more and more people are moving here. More and more things are changing. So, I mean, that obviously is changing. But I do want you to be aware of that, especially Denver area, definitely Boulder area. That is still very much predominantly white. But there are pockets all over the place. So depending on what type of area you're looking for and what type of anything really, I just want you to be aware to look into that kind of thing on your own, figure out if any particular area around Denver or Denver specifically is the right fit for you and your family. But I do want you to be aware of it, obviously prior to moving here. So other than that, I think those are the top reasons of maybe why Denver might not be a good fit. Obviously, I live in Colorado, and obviously I love it. I am not living anywhere else because Colorado is my home, and I absolutely love everything about it, regardless of these things. So please reach out to me if you have any questions about any area, about anything I've just talked about. I'd be more than happy to help you out and to talk to you further. Remember to click that subscribe button right there. That way you are notified every time I have a new video. And then to the next video, take care.